What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market and Tesla stock. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So Tesla saw this very nice pump upon open. We started off with a dip towards our 20 EMA around this 453 area, very close to my 452 to 456 target, right? We talked about how Tesla was going to dip a little bit. Then I mentioned that it's going to likely bounce because every time we touch this white trend line, we do like to rebound. And so far, Tesla saw a very nice bounce. So Tesla did a great job at pumping, but I do want to mention that there is a lot of negative news. And despite pumping the way we have been, I want to see Tesla hold 470 to continue this pump. If we don't hold 470, there is a risk of us returning to 465 or back down towards 460 and back down into this range. So for now, we're kind of like turning down. So you want to be very careful with this because the overall market is declining and that's dragging Tesla down despite this initial pump. So, what's happening with Tesla? Well, much of the news is negative. First off, we're seeing mainstream media talking about how the European sales in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are down. The French sales are actually up, so that's a good piece of news, but the majority of other countries are in the red. And the same thing's happening to Spain. Unfortunately, the Spanish sales are also down. So that was some negative news. And then we're also getting some sell ratings from analysts who think that investors have gotten carried away with enthusiasm for the robotaxi. They do think that the robotaxi has potential, but the problem is that it's going to take a while. And they also think that the robotaxi has a lot of safety regulations to get past, and that some analysts are arguing that it's overhyped, at least as of recent. That's what we heard from Morningstar analyst Seth Goldstein. So that is another negative piece of news that has been coming out for Tesla. And besides that, the news is also talking about their chip deal with Samsung. This was announced a while back, though, so it's nothing new, but I'm still seeing that on the news. So besides that, the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI was at 52.5. This is basically close to expectations, but the manufacturing PMI, at least from the ISM data, this is below expectations. Manufacturing employment is decent. New orders are kind of flat, and then prices are down a little bit, but overall, because the overall sector did see a slight decline, I think that is a bit more negative for the markets. And then on top of that, it's also because of seasonality and our setups. The technical aspect also played a big role. So for Tesla, we got this nice pump, which is fantastic, but I would like to see us close above 470 to continue this pump. If we could hold above 470 for a good day or two, then I would not rule out us going as high as 480. But I need to see confirmation of that first, because right now we pumped above 470 only to reject, and we're currently below it. So we have a range basically. So the way I see this is quite simple. Tesla has resistance at 470. If we hold above 470, we could continue to remain bullish heading into tomorrow and beyond. And then our main support is going to be around this 465 area. This is resistance becoming support. If 465 fails us, we could be dipping back down to 460 or below. Overall, I think Tesla's holding up decently, but we're in a range right now between 470 and 465. We started off with a very nice pump because of all the excitement associated with the shareholder meeting, because lots of analysts are going to likely protect Elon Musk. Different investors are going to likely vote in favor of his pay package, which is more positive for Tesla. But the thing is, the overall market was declining since the morning with all the manufacturing numbers coming out. And that is what's slowing Tesla down. It's acting as an anchor. So that's why Tesla's range bound for the time being. If the whole market was pumping really hard, Tesla could have pumped a lot more. But I think the algos are kind of like dragging it down as a result. And we're just range bound for the time being. So watch that very carefully. Watch our 470 areas resistance and 465 are supports to see the direction. If 465 fails us, we're going to be more bearish, but if 470 holds, we can be more bullish. Watch that level at least for the time being. I think Tesla's holding up nicely, but I think the market's kind of like slowing it down to some extent. We'll see how well we hold up, and if we could hold above 470 by close, of course we could pump a lot more. So watch that very closely. Anyways, for SPY is showing weakness. I said every time we're touching 686, we keep rejecting. We gap up and reject. This happened many times. And we have these gaps to fill. There's a gap down here at this 677 area. There's another gap at 672. It does look to me like SPY wants to dip to start filling a lot of these gaps. And as we come back down to fill these gaps, it's going to be another potential buying opportunity. So I think that for now, the market is once again looking more bearish, and we're seeing more bears continuing to step in, and there is a risk of us coming down to fill the gap at 677 in the upcoming days. On the QQQ, same thing. We're constantly just rejecting, and I do see another risk of some downside, especially when we look at the current setups. So, in my opinion, I think there's a good chance that we continue this decline, and we could be looking for a move back down towards the gap fill that we have right over here overnight. And I think we're going to likely see that very, very soon. So if we're bullish, you want to see us get back above 633. If not, we're looking for that gap fill, which would take us back down towards 629 or below. So for now, the downside risk is still there, in my opinion. For other tickers out there, we have the IWM. This is also looking more bearish as we got another rejection. And we are likely going to be dipping to 242.5 or below, so that could be favoring downside. ES is also rejecting. We're going to see 68, 64 as our support. If it doesn't hold, we could be dumping a lot more towards these lows. On NQ, we're also rejecting here. We're going to see if 26,088 holds. If not, we could be dipping to the gap flow around 26,000 flat. On Bitcoin, we're also making lower highs. We're going to see if this support holds or not. We have 106,000 as our main support, and we'll see what happens after that. For Tesla, like I said, we're range bound for now between 470 and 465. The market has been dragging it down just a little bit, but we're going to see which way we break to determine if we're more bullish or bearish. Nvidia has resistance around this 208 area. We need to break this. If we don't, we could return to fill the gap at 202. On Apple, we're showing some weakness. We have to hold above 269 or else we could be dipping to like 264. Palantir is rejecting. We have a gap to fill back down here towards 201, so it might be coming down to fill that gap. AMD is rejecting. We also have a head and shoulders like pattern. I would like to see AMD hold at 256. If we don't, there is some downside risk for 250, but we're going to see if this head and shoulders pans out. We do have earnings in, I think, tomorrow. By tomorrow, we have earnings coming out, so we're going to see if we return to fill this gap, or if NVIDIA, or sorry, not NVIDIA, if AMD starts running. We're going to see if it runs or not. Honestly, anything could happen after earnings. Coinbase, let me go back to the 4 hour. It's showing some weakness because we rejected off our EMAs. I did mention this might be dipping. There is a risk of us returning to like 330 and 325. Amazon is showing strength though. I'd like to see this hold above like 258 to remain bullish. If it doesn't, we could be dipping to lower 250s. Meta is also rejecting right here. We could be continuing to fall back down towards 640. Google's range bound between 284 and 278. It's technically on a bit of an uptrend, so it could be pushing a little bit more. And then Microsoft is rejecting here. We're stuck between 515 and 524. It could be dipping to 515 very soon, so keep that in mind. The VIX is also breaking out. I mentioned that the VIX could be forming an inverse head and shoulders and accumulation, which is bullish. So for now, it's looking more bullish as the market remains more bearish. And I still think that there is more downside risk looking at SPY and the QQQ. So be prepared for that potential gap fill very soon. And because the market's declining, this is slowing Tesla down a little bit. But overall, Tesla's still range bound between 470 and 465 at the time I'm recording this. And until we break one of these directions, we are stuck. Much of the news that's coming out so far is more negative for Tesla. So that's part of why we kind of like pumped and now we're slowing down. But we're just in the middle. Until we break one of these directions, we're just stuck. So we'll see if we lose 465 to be more bearish, if we break 470 to be bullish. We're stuck for now, so watch your levels and do what you have to do, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Have an awesome rest of your guys' days, and peace out.